Language from the start.
In a dark northern city in the late 70s, 5 dreamers built a record label, Factory. 3 classic bands, Joy Division, New Order and Happy Mondays, and Britain's first super club, the Hacienda. Led by local TV personality Tony Wilson, they created a unique collision between conceptual art and street music. This is the story of how Factory pioneered Britain's independent pop culture, imagined a new Manchester, and blew a shed load of money. Manchester, the heart and soul of Factory Records. In the 60s and 70s, a crumbling remnant of the Industrial Revolution, where slums were demolished to make way for bad modern housing and misplaced shopping developments. A great immigrant city in decline.
Somehow the street lights didn't make things lighter, they made things darker. There was no sense that the canal was somewhere that was for living beside. It was rats and drunks and horror, little black seepages. So it had a kind of strange atmosphere that still seemed to be very much from its past, as if we would never escape its past.
If you worked in Manchester, everyone would work in Manchester, so in the day it would be heaving with people. And then at night, it was like rats escaping. It would just empty. And at night, the city would be a ghost town.
The dereliction of the city in the mid-70s, as my LA friend said to me recently, I visited in the 70s too, it was like fucking Detroit, and it was worse than Detroit.
But Manchester didn't have its own indigenous pop music like Detroit's Motown. And the British charts in the mid-70s looked and sounded like this.
Hear someone say, we just haven't got a clue what to do. Does anyone know the way? There's got to be a way to Blockbuster.
In the 70s, popular culture was like Mud, Tiger Feet and The Sweets and Gary Glitter. I always say his name on television anymore. And I just find it, to go from the Beatles and the Stones to Motown to that stuff was...
That's neat, that's neat, that's neat, that's neat. I really love your Tiger Feet. I really love your Tiger Feet. Your Tiger Feet.
The whole business of pop culture, and particularly music culture, had become so commoditized. It was not really a kind of a touchable experience anymore.
There was a Manchester music scene, but it tended to be music that could have come from anywhere in the world. So you've got your Hollies and your 10cc's and your Bee Gees and your Barclay James Harvest. They don't speak in northern accents. They're not singing songs about feast.
The main manifesto of the day was that Britain under Labour wasn't working. Margaret Thatcher was travelling the length and breadth of the country to remind us. While Wilson's Factory was expanding, others were going on strike. There was no rubbish collection, no petrol, no food in the supermarkets, no trains, and no planes. Even the dead had to wait in line.
What about the electronic nature of so much of it? That seems to be a trademark almost of the Manchester sound, if there is such a thing.
Well, as soon as you step into the north side of Manchester, you're in a very science fiction industrial landscape. I was struck years ago. It was actually a room full of air compressors at the Ferranti factory, which was banging out this astonishing 4-in-the-bar bass drum rhythm. I just stood in the centre of the room for hours.